will preside over today's press briefing. Minister Pia will do his normal housekeeping, after which we will officially introduce to you our guests. Before the minister comes out, I'd like to inform you that the Liberia National Lottery has provided the parks for humanitarian purpose. The essence of it is to provide charity for people with disability. So you journalists too can contribute towards the nation building in our guests. I'd like to invite the chief spokesperson of this government, Minister Pia, the national platform.
Good afternoon to all of you members of the press. It's good to be here again, as we've always been. Let me first say I'm very pleased with all of you who are from time to time covering this press briefing of the Ministry of Information. You are very crucial to the work we do upon you. The messages we want to get out there is certainly not in there. So that's how important you are. It's a partnership. Let us keep the partnership going, because we have a commitment to always provide information to our people. It is the right of the Liberian people to be talked to by their government. We came to this ministry on the mantra of wanting to change this ministry for the better. And so before just going through some of the stuff we got to talk about briefly, before we present our new guest today, Dr. Emmanuel Yapalo, who is the Executive Director of the EPA. I just wanted to say, in furtherance of the promise we made, that the makeup will certainly not be the same, and that we are very committed to change. We will shortly start a bidding process for the total refurbishment of the Ministry of Information complex. Currently, we're contemplating on what will happen when that process starts. Because of the massive nature of the refurbishment work, we will not be able to be using the building while we do the work. What that means is that we will have to totally vacate the current complex. And so, holding that constant, each of you who are attached to the ministry that are working with the different media institutions, when you are coming here to do your work, you're going to see the different institutions. The ministry that will look like something that has been rebuilt. This ministry is very old. I remember this is where ELBC started broadcasting from. So you can think about that. And then imagine how old this building is. When we got here, we promised change. Fortunately for us, it's not taking years to have that change made manifest. But the change is now on the verge. We have support to ensure that total refurbishment that will touch every part of the building, and the very top of the building, the roof, enter the Ministry of Information. The fact that the President has made it a policy position that this is where the government will speak from, and that all of the different ministries and agencies are coming in to speak. It means this ministry has become somehow the face of our country and government. So I don't want people coming from DOA, from DC, from everywhere, and they have to come and follow the government's the communication initiative, and the first thing that happens is that as they approach the bill itself, they get depressed. I guess most of you who are coming here every day to come home, when you come in, you look at how the bill is feedback. And I just wanted to formally now say, as we promised, since we took over, that change, which will reflect in the way this ministry looks, is now on the way. We'll do the bidding process, independent and very credible and transparent bidding process. And we'll make sure the right entity is chosen to do the work we want to do here, so that at the end of the day, when you see this place, and you're convinced that we've done a great job. There's been a lot of noise in the country in the past about moving equipment that were meant to just revolutionize things in Liberia. We did promise that it was a focus of the government. It's an intervention that we're interested in, and we're not going to walk back on those interventions. In the coming days, we will have more details to give you. But before we get ready to do the details, we just thought that we had to be, especially from the perspective of the Ministry of Information, we thought we had to be proactive, and we thought that we need to do our best to be open and not dive into secrecy. So we thought it is important to first announce to you, members of the press and the Liberian people, the actions have been taken. And let me just give you some perspective first. This year, Liberia was celebrating 177 years of existence. Many of the countries around us got their independence in the 60s. We're talking about 1847. Many of them are pretty young. But for those of you who had a chance to travel, and you are Liberian, somehow, you got to be ashamed when you see what the country is in 177 years, compared to some countries that are just maybe 40 years old, 30, and so forth. So President Waka is firmly committed to keeping this ugly history of our country. Many of you who come from far places, I guess some of you journalists here, you're from Riverside. If you wanted to go to Riverside, even with the intervention we're making to keep our roads passable, you know it's still a difficult journey. If you come from Bakuru County and you wanted to go there down, you know what it is. How can a country be 177 years old and still so much so disconnected? Small as the country is, traveling, let me really appeal to you people. It's 2 minute distraction when the press conferences are going and immediately comes from Newcastle. But I was stop them moving around. So we have to think about this. And if there's anybody who's thinking deeply about that and who's concerned and wants to solve this problem, it's President Waka. The Holy Word Minister, I have listened to him a bit just this morning again, and he has explained the interventions they are making everywhere. And he has assured us, all of us, including myself, who speaks for the government, the Waka administration will not leave this country without all of our country capitals being connected with the people. He's said to be a legacy president. Pavement work has been ongoing between Danta to Tapita. And he just announced that immediately we approach the dry season, the pavement from that point straight trying to link the rest of the country to Capricorn, where the road coming from had not served preach. And then he was clear that subsequently he would be able to drive on a paved road from Monrovia straight to Upper Maryland County. But we realize that while those processes are on, the country has to be accessible. And that is linked to the president, no car gets stopped in the mantra. So I just wanted to say, as I explain this, that beginning to the moving equipment that were meant to keep our roads passable have started to arrive. It will take a couple of trips because of the nature of our port, which restricts to some extent the size of vessels that can break at the port. Especially talking about vessel breaking such heavy moving equipment. So it will take a couple of trips. And taking a couple of trips will mean a couple of weeks or probably months. But the good news is the arrival process has started. What is that supposed to mean for our country? Maintenance zones will exist in all of our counties. All. 4 of those counties will have 2 maintenance zones because of their size. Nima, Lofa, Bom, and Bassa will have 2 maintenance zones. Estimated around 19 pieces of moving equipment per zone. You can imagine what that would be. A complete revolution. And until those roads are big, what that also means is that we can travel in and out of our country, everywhere around our country, with absolute ease. But here's the most important part. The roads are good and the commitment is unwavering. But here's another good part about these machines. Many of our people in rural Liberia are farmers. They use so much energy. But farmers cut down trees and do all kinds of stuff. The government's commitment and plan is that a set of those equipment that will be deployed per county will be set aside to enhance the efficiency of farming. So, for example, if there are MLP as a farmer in somewhere in Gambasa County, he doesn't have to be worried about cutting or breaking up his farm. Those machines from government will make those interventions. You see your farmland clear with what cost to you. They got to focus on planting that crops. What a revolution that is. It will enhance and improve food production in addition to enabling us to be able to travel freely in and around our country. And let me just say some of the stuff on the road as we're talking about that. I will run over it because sometimes the detractors want to keep themselves busy trying to convince people who don't need to be convinced. Some looking for old pictures of years back of cars stopped in mugs and putting it around Facebook. Who are you misleading? If you post something like that and you say this is, for example, the road leading to Gambia, the folks who live in Gambia, they are aware that they're even using the care on the road. What do you do yourself? Because the man who's experiencing the thing you're trying to mislead, some people who posted those things, they have left Monrovia for about 5 years. You don't even know how outside of Monrovia works. But they're trying to tell the man who's living there, the man who is getting in a keke from one point to another, they're trying to tell the man this is why the condition looks at the way you are. It is strongly credited that nobody will take this serious. On the foundation of the engagement is all about lives. Nobody takes this serious. So we just sit somebody wisely and say, let them go in there and destroy themselves. And the Portugal minister listened to him this morning, he said, oh, I shall pay 10 stocks from Topeka to Zurich. And then the fish tank, that's 375 kilometers. And that starts according to him at the end of this year. That's when all the plenty rain will start. And they say it will run straight into 2025. So finally, Liberia County will be connected to Monrovia by cable, he says. Manga to Salaye will be completed by May next year. I'm talking about putting that and then the discussion for the extension to Konya is also in Banjima is currently ongoing. But it's clear that those entire corridors will be connected before President Biden leaves power. What of legacy President Iwobi? 4 feasibility study is being conducted by the African Development Bank from Banjima to Foya to Medicom. And this is set the stage for some sort of facilitating the funding in the bank. And I mean the African Development Bank is likely a potential funder for that section of the road. They did a great job in the Southeast. Most of the payments in Liberia is for the African Development Bank. They are still engaging us. For the next talk about Coastal Highway that was highlighted by the past administration, we're supposed to move from Ikana to Sesta and to Greenville. Disability studies on work, which means it's a target by the government as well. Look, what you all will be experiencing is something that I would want to describe as a spokesperson of the government as the development vuvuzela. You are accepted. For if it means you, they were opinions. I mean, something that would be wrong, right? Some people say, I'm ready, but who's using their country? Because it's not them. Good things are not supposed to happen when you are in charge. So for the sake of your political dissatisfaction, the country should remain down until it's you. It means you get thinking about yourselves, not the people. If your goal is about the people, doesn't matter whether you in charge or not. Oh, I remember when 17 to power, I come from Grandmaster, by the way. It used to take me 5 hours from Monrovia to Canada. The road was non-existent. And that situation changed. I was in Canada. So we have to look, we have to embrace the transformation of our country. By the special grace of God, we have a president now who's ready to lead the charge and who has been able to recruit able teams, committed and dedicated, helping him lead that change. I mean, that way is square. How many of you here or here who've been covering the ministry from California? And I think that under the Biden administration, a lot of ministers who came to the whole place more. Back then, also, Madam was saying, also happened very nothing. You know how? I went there before you know that the minister actually, you know how we fought to change the building to get repaired? It didn't work. But from the experience of that time, if I see a leader today who has stood by the team and is not ensuring that teaching that has not happened in decades and decades and decades and decades happening in one year. If it does not convince you that we are marching to Zion, it does for me. And all of you should be stakeholders. Sometimes, some of you, and many of you are good people, but some of the media entities just breed negativity, creating one story after the other. And sometimes, don't regret, even if you find the fact that this story here is not correct, the man will still stand by his story. So there's somebody who has reported that the Liberia is there. Then he walks, he comes, and you see the man leaving. He don't know you. She has still stand on the story. What kind of journalism? And that brings me to what looks like a smear campaign against the Minister of Labor. And we don't take this thing to say that personal issue here in my hand. If somebody is an official in government, if you're doing something wrong, and you're reporting with your breaks, because we want you to help us to find people who are doing bad. But if it is just an attempt to sell people campaign, then we are under obligation to talk about it, not necessarily as a defense for the person, just to put things in context. The suggestion that as a cry is involved in quote-unquote conflict of interest. And that is because the law firm that is supposed to be representing the NPA, cry is supposed to be linked to that law firm. First of all, the law firm in question was established in 1944. It was established by the late Speaker of the House of Representatives, Richard Henrys. In 2001, that law firm entered a retainership with the National Court of Health. There's a retainership between you and somebody that made a representative of the nation. And even in the last 6 years, that retainership was there. And the very last 6 years, the crowd was the minister in the government. Nobody saw that one. But even though the law firm is called Henry Cry and something else, that cry is not considered a people cry. The Crown family is a family that can wake up in the morning, they have law for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. And beyond his daughter, who is also in white, I don't know whether she has graduated already, Cornelia, he has a son called Prince Crown, who's a brother, who is an associate of the law firm. And he has been there since 2001. So, how now a retainership that has existed since that time is now supposed to be as a people cry headache or quote-unquote conflict of interest? And this is coming on the wheels of a group of persons who were dismissed by NPA management, going to court, suing for over $1 million damage, and they came thrown out of court by the civil law court. As for crime, the Minister of Labor is not involved in any conflict of interest because the retainership between the NPA and the law firm predates him. It even predates his involvement as a minister in the real government. How can that even be an issue now? In the period of we have everything in the country of God. There was sometimes we get a minister, country of God, police, country of God. We found the real issues of things going on. This is not formed one, can't come up in the folder. This is things my way. Our generation these days on truth because it helps the country. As we are aware, our Vice President, the Honorable Jeremiah Kwan is currently in Barcelona, Spain, and he's attending the Africa Energy Forum. Updates we received from the Vice President and his team at me is that the World Bank announced the approval of a disbursement of 45 million for Liberia's renewable energy program. Renewable energy, as we all know, is basically about solar energy, which is environmentally safe. I live in Monrovia where we don't have any AC. Everything has to be a generator on. It's making noise in my ear, but it's also making smoke. Solar energy solved that problem. There's a focus to invest in solar energy. And 45 million from the World Bank towards such a project. It's good that we celebrate that. And for all the announcements signifies a major step forward in our quest to advance renewable energy in Liberia. The project will finance the first 20 megawatt solar photo project in the expansion of the Mount Coffee hydro plant, increasing the capacity from 88 gigawatts to 129 megawatts. It will really significantly solve our energy problem. The total budget for the project is at around 96 million, and the initial contribution in this amount is something that we celebrate as a country. And want to thank the Vice President, who was ably representing our country in Spain for the push. Asset declaration. We just want to say a little bit about it because sometimes we don't celebrate the good things. President Walker, upon coming to power, I think it clearly answered. When you read the asset declaration, you realize that as the law requires, he signed his asset declaration prior to being inaugurated as president, because that's what the law really says. So he puts his gross annual income at around 13,000? And that became an issue about honesty versus dishonesty. Vice President gross annual income while he was out of office, he was making $870 per month and 35,000 dollars. If you combine the both over a period of 12 months, that's exactly the figure that they had. He didn't even know what he would be making as president. And what he's supposedly is supposed to be making as president in that constitution, an asset of his, it's not for him. There's no measurement of that. And so part of the reason is that's why with engagement with the LSCC, the focus has been on how to rework the fund that is being used. I know I even need to put some time to declare my asset because the fund appears complicated. So all these things are looked at the mix up. Things are changing and you can improve upon things regularly. And in our opinion, there will be a need to revisit our fund and make it contemporary and easier. Because I think the complication of the fund is why sometimes confuse people to just make claims and run the issues that we have to cost running with. So the president asset declared consistent with the law, and there was no attempt to get basic information. You read a code of conduct that requires public officials to declare asset. It's clear. Anybody who has doubt that what really is supposed to happen can just take some time to read over it. One of the things that have helped us is we try to make our security sector overly responsible. And one of the groups that have been doing so well is the AFL. They say the AFL is a force for good. And it's true. If you see how good they are in trying to deal with people who have excesses, it tells you they are not prepared to tolerate an inch of behaviors that are inconsistent with the values the EFF stands for. So there's been some expulsion from the EFF. And I know it's already widely publicized, but the only thing we wanted to say about that is to say that is a clear manifestation that the AFL, especially with the leadership of the current High Command and with the administrative responsibility for the Ministry of National Defense, must and will remain our force for good. And the government is pleased with the fact that the High Command of the Armed Forces is not taking anything for granted. And they are acting in lawful ways that will ensure that the AFL remains the force for good. I'm sure you know the individuals who were kicked out of the AFL or they've been discharged because they were involved in drug business. Drug crisis in our country. So we cannot continue for 1 inch. And people who are security personnel, especially members of the armed forces of Liberia, will get involved with such things. So probably first class, people are Richard Fall, disability, and Ibrahim Loro, all discharged from the armed forces for the rough-ranking drugs matter within the AFL for that action. Having said that, in conclusion of the few introductory comments I wanted to make, I will now invite my friend and brother, Dr. Emmanuel Yure Iapawuru, Executive Director of the PPA, who will now talk to me.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you very much for the beautiful introduction and also touching on the changing issues of national concern. Very definitely opportunity for you here. Today we want to speak to you just briefly about what is going on at the EPA. We'll focus on the violations of the environmental protection law of Liberia and what are we doing about it. And that's really what the question of our time here is. Briefly, the EPA is going well. Somebody took over. The staff are working very hard. Under difficult circumstances to enforce the law of Liberia. Our voices are heard in the international discussions, the UN climate change, and the rest of it. We spend some time in Germany all the time. We just also want to say something very sad news that occurred quite recently. One of our employees, one of our flowers, and got under some time. I'll get back to that slide. He passed away, one of the finished, and the story very sad. So the family is mourning right now, along with other members of the EPA as well. We have had some sad situation there. So we are grieving at the same time we are working. So we're going to present a slide. Our presentation basically will be viewing a slide because we want you to see some of the things we're talking about. Thank you. So let's get to the next slide now. We will briefly talk about the importance of wetlands and what that means for our country. Monrovia and other cities in Liberia have been suffering from flood, want to talk about that and what the EPA is doing. And the question, the issue is companies and individuals that are violating environmental laws in Liberia and what we are doing about it. And can get some conclusion and hopefully we can get few questions at the end. That's the purpose about the area. So the importance of wetland is very important. These are places that are normally wet, swamp, lake area, estuaries, area where we have mangrove swamps. These are areas that absorb water, breeding places for fish, and they present to us a host of what we call ecosystem services. Services that we may not be able to get like in a monetary term. Take for instance the soil to drink plain water is the ecosystem service. Even the fish together as well. It is estimated that globally, wetland, the kind of services they present to us, is about $47 trillion. There's a particular type of wetland in the world, but also in Liberia called mangroves. If we take a lot of mangroves in Liberia, we can generate up to very close to $100 million per year. From that, they serve as cargo sink. That's a whole topic we can get into. We don't have much time to go through the detail, but it's very important. What we see is that we see a picture of a wetland right there. You can flip to the next slide. What we do see is that the wetland has been degraded so much so. And there are several reasons for that. You know, Monrovia particularly is overpopulated. Years of civil war and a lot of migration into the city. So a lot more people. And people have to find places to construct homes in the rest of it. But something else we want to bring in the form of education to the public. Liberia has dry and rainy season. During the dry season that is much more prolonged, especially in December and January, a lot of wetland area will become really dry. It becomes sadly. And so a lot of people will start to build in those areas, not knowing that sooner or later the whole place will be flooded. So it's particularly ignorance of the landscape and trying to navigate between rainy season and dry season. I know a friend of mine in the States wanted to buy land somewhere on the Mountain Highway, and he sent me to go look there. But the landowner was taking me there in August, who had initially built a foundation in that area during dry season. On our way there, the girl who was about to sell the land said she gave up the amount of water. But the previous dry land, she built a foundation. The gentlemen are trying to purchase the foundation of the land. Of course, the purchase did not go through. But I just talking about the difference between the dry land, the dry season and the rainy season that causes some of this problem. Climate change, of course, increase in flood, increase in rainy season or dry season. West Point here being threatened, but we are happy to report that there is funding to be able to prevent West Point. So some work will start there, the research work is going. Government has made some good money available as counter funding from some international funding to help us to be able to save West Point. So some of the work they are going on. But people are literally man-made or you black to finish. The issue of plastics and then using the villages as area of dumping ground. It is very bad. And we're asking the citizens to please help us because it's pervasive, it's all over the place. And when you do that, the water needs to go through the drainage system. You get clogged. And where you expect the water to go? It will find a way somewhere. The same way if you fill in the wetland, the swamp, you use it as a dumping ground, and the rest of it, you're really doing that. And we are getting poorer because of that. You know, when flow water goes into our homes, it can really destroy the whole place. So we're asking the citizens to help us, and that's the reason why we are encouraging community clubs for communities to come together and form themselves into a group that we can be able to support, so they take matters into their own hands. So if somebody wants to build in or something and you know who will prevent them, they can be able to collect your cash and the rest of it. So we are encouraging community to come together and work about community clubs. We already started establishing some in school, which are very important. So the picture you see there is representative Anders, similar to the showing the type of policies we're doing in the rest of the country. But what are we doing about it? We get discussed about it after the next slide. What are we doing about it? So we are currently mapping the wetlands. I want to just a little bit of official that came here and should have covered. Dala at some point was joining because he's the chair for the Department of Compliance, doing most of the efforts. And all of our folks who are working at the BP as well. But we are mapping up the hotspot area and we're developing a kind of core vulnerability map as well. And enhancing the efforts. Careful, massive awareness in other areas we are putting in, sample that do not do this here, and so as to serve as deterrent. Other areas we are actually going and demolish some other structures in the government. We are doing that. But there are still challenges because many people are involved with it. So at some point, we're going to be asking the national police to help us, and also the Ministry of Justice, in terms of good actions and the rest of it. And the pictures on the right is just from our awareness and our environmental officers conducting some training and social. Next slide. The main issue of today is deterrence. Laws are made to guide human interactions. Without law, in most instances, there will be conflicts. But if laws are not enforced, it seems to be that there is no law will come out with the same problems. And so His Excellency, Joseph Monrovia, has instructed all of us, no more business as usual, do things differently. Enforce the law of Liberia. Because it's only through that we get the needed development we're talking about. In fact, the data clearly shows. One of the things that cause people to be poor and countries not to progress is failure to enforce the law. You can clearly see that between the developed country and the underdeveloped country. In more instances, developed countries enforce their law. We don't. So under that mandate of our president, we are going to go ahead and enforce the law. Let's go ahead to the next one. Today we're going to be showing you violations taking place mostly back on the county. And we'll show few of them was arrived. But later on we're going to be covering the entire country. Companies, especially companies class B mining companies, is getting out of hands. They are all in the forest. They don't have anything. They don't have any permit. One example is this company, JM Mining Company Incorporated in Baton County. The company has been operating a Class B gold mine since March of this year. The company does not have any environmental permits. The way it works is that even at Nancy Mine, if you're getting your mineral development agreement and going to care for your mine, you come to the EPA and we give the environmental permit. And but prior to that, you conduct environmental impact assessment. And our permit will have a guideline on which you can operate. And we can use that to monitor activities. JM Mining Company does not have that. And so they directed the river, in the Head River, they directed the river at their own will. And residents are accusing them of using mercury. We can go into long-term impact of mercury, both on the environment but on the human population as well. And so the company action has led to huge deposit of settlement in the Head River. And the residents are really finding it difficult to be able to get water. Not more violations, you can see two pictures there. Flip to the next slide. So these are the laws they have violated, and they are monetary fine that they need to pay. We have had informal talk with the LRA, and so what these fines are imposed as doing it, will compile the list and give it to the LRA, Mr. Kebonjala. And his team will go after the violators to pay the government, to pay the money in the government revenue. So water pollution caused by diversions of waterways and sediment deposition, you can see that's section 61 of the Environmental Protection Law. Under the title Water Pollution Prohibited, the fine is $50,000 United States dollars. Discharging affluents without affluent discharge license, again that's another license, that's going to become the second condition. That's section 57 of the law. The fine is about $5,000. Now we can list them failure to apply and obtain affluent discharge permit, violating section 58 of our law is equivalent to maximum fine of $10,000. Operating without license, that's $25,000. So this company will find $95,000 for their violations. And we are taking on the maximum fine as in the law because we want it to serve as a deterrent to their behavior. Yes, please. Look at that picture over there too. Look at how muddy that water is and everything is messed up over there. We don't have time. That's a random and operator do multi-purpose company again operating in Buffalo County. Company operating in Gold Mine, Buffalo County. Again, the company does not have an environmental permit. The company has completed mining activities at 2 sites and it moves to a third. The company activities at the new site have caused massive sediment deposit into the creek. The previous 2 sites were abandoned without any form of restoration. And then we'll get summarizing. And so if we go through all the violations as well, when you see the violation, the fine is multiplied by 2, it means violation is 2 different locations. Every location, you should conduct environmental impact assessment and get permit for any time you go to a new location. Even if you are a rental permit, you get in one permit, decide using it all the way. We are quite informed of that. So again, we summarize all of their violations for $140,000. This is what we pay as government fine. We move to the next. The Scott Investment Incorporated in Bakulu. Again, you can see the picture and see the level of destruction in our forest. The company operating a Class B gold mine. The company has completed mining at 5 different camps and then we moved to a new one. The company used a single EPA license to try to cover the rest, which is not the way to do it. They diverted the river as well. And they abandoned the other one. And like you dig the hole, your mineral finish here, you don't have time, you move to a new location without any type of regard for law. To catalog all their violations. And that amounts to $400,000. That's what we need to pay by law. And so we issue our fines from that company. Yes? This company has been in the news more attention for the wrong reason. Our Chico resources are very limited in Bakulu County. They operate iron ore mining company. They have environmental permits, but they don't have permits for affluent discharge. There's another one. And so they take care of all the black gold. There are three mining pits, and all are surrounded by wetlands, huge sediment deposits in nearby river. There are about 3 communities situated within close proximity of the company operation. The company has not submitted the American report. that we need to do tonight. See some pictures of the operation. And they too are hereby fined. But the law, remember, we're very transparent about this. We're not making out any stuff. This is literally taken from the law. From the law, they are fined $135,000 that we need to pay. It's important. You get the next one? China Union Investment in Bond Country, another company. The company operates an iron ore mine, we all know that. They transport it to Monrovia, who are transported to the free port of Monrovia. The company is operating without environmental permit and affluent discharge permit. They don't have any, you wouldn't mind such a big company will come and operate without the kind of fundamental document you have in your possession, so as to follow their work and make sure they're doing it properly. The company has commenced the construction of a new processing plant without any form of permit. And you have previously constructed a million tilling processing plant, again without permit. And the pictures over there showing as to their outputs, how they discharging that and how they messing the whole place. When they are violation, they are here by law, fine a total sum of $120,000. Next. Somewhere in the Yama community, it's a private property, that's the Jimmy E. Wella private facility in Monrovia. So, proponent means we're talking about the company. When we say proponent in the law, we're talking about like the client, the biofuel wetland, the care home construction without any form of permit, and when that construction work is completed, we foresee that flooding situation will be increasing the area. We are biofueling the wetland, which is bad. And we go to the punishment by law. Whereby the fine from the environmental law, the total sum of $50,000. Yes. This full construction company in Monrovia, this is located on the SAB Boulevard Road. That area has been getting a lot of flooding in recent time, which is in violation, not only that we fund them, but we're going to be asking them to discontinue that particular effort there. And their violation amounts to $25,000. On March 5th, when we took over the EPA, just 3 weeks, we issued similar fine as well. And that was imposed on East International, the one that is building the road. What mining company, Black Sand Mining. And then we also did it, the other subsidiary of East called Benju. Benju was Houston, actually. But we're concerned that because of some of the work, negotiation we have with the public work as when we finish all the hotels and restoration work. And they came to a point, their closure will prevent the construction of the road. And so we have to have some discussion. But they amounted to over almost in the 1,000, so that's $70,900. That's what we imposed last time. And today, next slide, if we add all the fine we have imposed today is equal to $1 million, but $965,000. What we're doing with this is that comply the letter, take all the letter, carry the LRA. LRA can help us to enforce the fine. I think we take these decisions not because we don't like development. We definitely like development. We want our people to find jobs and the rest of it. But at least it has to be in compliance with the law. Companies are scattered all over Liberia. If they are degrading our land, if they are damaging our rivers, and they will go. The thing about the mineral, when you finish, you don't stay there. But people have inhabited the land for a very long time, and our people will continue to be there. What is there for them? So that's why we are taking some of these hard decisions, simply because, again, we have a president who is serious about enforcing law. He has mandated us to do likewise. And so the public is advised to avoid acts that tend to pollute the environment. Building in waterways is very bad, filling wetland. It's unlawful diversion of waterways, construction and operation without EPA permit or approval. Cutting of the mangrove is bad. We're asking it to stop. And the EPA will remain committed to work with the public through ensuring a clean, safe, and healthy environment for all. Once again, members of the press, not to take up the time, but we are working at the EPA and to support the government efforts. And we'll continue to name and shame some of the companies publicly. And if they don't obey our laws, we can take it further by rating at an international level so that they have reputational risks. And so that will force them to comply with our law in addition to other things we're doing here today. The EPA is here to ensure that we have a clean environment. We're asking all to support us so that at the end, we'll have a better country and we all can live and be prosperous. Honorable Minister, thank you for being on the platform. We say thank you very much.
So we want to get first with questions. Please come in queue.
We will have the seats and we'll entertain questions from the press. Again, we encourage you to please tag your question to the issues about violations of the EPA regulation as was raised by the honorable man. We'll take 4 questions at a time. Receiver, please begin.
Thank you. I'm Bingo David. The question goes to the Minister of Information. Mr. Minister, you announced to Liberians recently that all of those processes that are required in purchasing those yellow machines were being worked on, passing through the legislature. I want to know if those requirements and those processes were met. If yes, what are some of those steps the government took in making sure those machines were purchased before the machines started arriving in the country? And where are some of those machines located that journalists can go to make sure they see those machines before going out and publishing the stories? Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Strogon Flana and I report for Spoon FM and Spoon TV. Just for short quickly, we'd like to know the total number of companies and structures you found so far for violating the EPA Act. And key to that, we want to know because just announcing the fine and saying that you reach out to the Liberia Revenue Authority to be able to enforce. Can you just give us maybe the timeline that this fine will be enforced so that they can be able to pay in government revenue? And lastly, to the EPA, aside from fine and all of that, what other things are you recommending or what other awareness you've been creating to ensure that companies and people who are building desist from doing so? And lastly, to the Minister of Information, the social media has been flooded by photos of of the buses that were brought for testing. Has there been any deal consummated between the government of Liberia and the bus company?
Yeah, one
questions to EPA. My name is Siwa Kwana, I'm a journalist. Yeah, Mr. Director, when we were in secondary school, sorry I take you back there. When we were in secondary school, sometimes we don't have questions for the teacher, but we have questions. We want to call it classroom, we say no explanation, answer our question, teacher. But here is a simple question. Sometimes we see work order, say stop work by EPA. And in a subsequent time, you will see the construction or whatever activities going on there has been completed, fully completed. What is your take on that?
So just take the last question for the day.
Thank you. Mr. Pleasant, good afternoon to you, the director of the EPA. My name is Wise and Williams. I report for LB Online Television. My question goes to the director. Director, what are you doing or what are your plans for constructing structure over the Blue River for latrine uses? Please.
Really?
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Brian is here with me, so I would like him to take one or two of the questions. Then I can add the rundown, because we're going to take some of the questions that are added.
So I will just begin from the last question. It talks about constructing over the Blue River. As you may know, this is issue in as much as it leads to environmental pollution, but it's sanitary related. So the EPA, of course, is working along with the WASH Commission, because the WASH Commission is responsible to ensure that sustainable sanitary facilities are provided, especially when it comes to the issue of disposal of feces and all that. And as you may also be aware, Monrovia as a city was constructed on a sewerage system that was designed at Fairmont that is being regulated by the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation. We don't know over time that there have been, because of the population in Monrovia have gone beyond the expected limit for which the city was designed. That's how we see this thing happen. So to be able to address this kind of an issue, the EPA is of course working along with other institutional government who have this mandate to be able to deal with this. With regards to the issue of wetlands, the abuse, what the EPA is doing, and we're also working along with public works. We initially mapped out, in 2019, we had 18 wetland hotspots. Coming to the period of 2024, we now see that our hospital are almost quadrupled to 30 plus. So the EPA is carrying on what we call floor plume maps. On the basis of those floor plume maps, we are trying to see how best we can also be able to engage, of course, with various partners that will continue to carry on, firstly, awareness and education to various communities. For places wherein that those construction activities are going to lead to serious disastrous issue, of course the EPA will be undertaking demolition action. But the issue of awareness and continual engagement are very key. Our long-term plan is to see how we can also be able to develop, a wetland management plan that will guide the need for the likely passing of that the EU will speak about that moratorium, and how we can also be able to demarcate and set buffer for these wetlands. Because the issue of the wetland here will have different categories. Some of the wetlands that are within immediate vicinity or some river bodies that are not saturated year round. We see that those are the ones sometimes that convince people to think that dry land become a good. They need to be guarded by the standards and regulation. But for those wetlands that are saturated year round and have huge mangrove species that provide breeding ground for various mammals or various birds, and of course for fishes to be able to lay their eggs, for places that are as well, we're going to be coming on to ensure that we can be able to demarcate those respective areas. I think that's it.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Mr. Gala. The question, that question, why is it that your post-stop order will not be obeyed? So those are some of the challenges, but there's a need to have clarity on the ownership. The ownership of wetland is inherent in the government. But over time, or before even we came to the EPA, city governments, in the past, local government officials, and some private individuals, they've been selling wetland. And so some of the places are covered by deed. When you get to that point now, enforcement becomes very, very tricky. Because by the virtue of deed, possessed, registered, you go through a court action to reverse that. The process takes some time to do that. And we look at the consistent work here. That is why we are advocating for a robust legal unit at the EPA, which we don't have at the moment. So we are adhering and talking to say that we need that because we'll be able to fast track. The environmental law also talk about establishment of environmental court. And that is on our radar. It will take some time that we've got to work within the government circle and the judiciary to make sure that is effectuated. So I get a point, but going forward, we will pay more attention to those kind of behavior that if we put a stop order, we'll make sure we put in mechanism to enforce it. The violators need to be taken to court, and the court can be able to enforce the stop order. But I think Jala answered most of the questions in terms of the total number of fine imposed. At least since I took over, that's what I showed. I think the first one out of 3, and the one today that I go by and count them before I can know the total in my head right now. But I summarized the first one and the one we imposed today. Since I've been at the EPA, especially after the Supreme Court ruling, of course, those are the ones we've been working on. So we get asking everyone to help us, and especially the citizens, help us so that we help ourselves. Trash collection, putting trash in village is bad, and constructing in the wetland is bad. Filling in a swamp to say I'm going to build my house is bad. You're going to submerge, the water is coming, and it's going to be a problem for you. It's better you be patient and find a better place than to try to use a swamp. Don't do that in a swamp. Thank you.
Minister?
So when I took the podium, I took the podium knowing what I came to say. And I said exactly what I needed to say. What I needed to say first and foremost was to announce that the chains have started to arrive. And I was very clear that it is an initial action on our part, that there will be continuous engagement and conversation in providing more information on revenue. And that will not change because somebody asks me a question and say, wow, I know it. So what are the processes of focus? What are those processes? Those conversations will come forth in the days ahead. And what I wanted you to know today, the revolution is taking place. Anybody who doesn't see it that way, okay? But even during the olden days when those maintenance zones existed, they didn't have that kind of presence of machinery. 2, technologically the world has advanced. So even the quality of the change that will be in these zones cannot be compared to what was there when the concept was being actualized then. So the good news that the Liberian people needed to know, which you too needed to know, is that the machines have started to arrive. I've not even told you how many trips would be required for all 200 pieces of machinery. You will hear that in the coming days. What are the different specifications? You will hear that in the coming days. What are the procedures, the processes, the form? You will hear that in the coming days. But while we wait for all of that before I tell the Liberian people who eagerly could be glad about this huge intervention before I say to them, at least I know that one that they have started to around. Do I wait for all that you need before I say, hey, I think no. I think in terms of communication, it was the proper thing to do right now. Yeah, they want to see them physically. Those things are not much more than mosquitoes. So they can't hide their eyes. You see them. I'm told there was a plan to, because the port is, it doesn't have space. So they're supposed to be stored somewhere else on the port. I'm sure I'll get that information later. You guys know. Besides, I don't make up a video. And a regular put that in, go on, okay, they'll cancel the machine. But the good news is, farmers have been rescued by the rescue mission. Our citizens, some of whom were getting stranded on roads for weeks, will now just pass through with ease. Because this maintenance process on these corridors until we can pay them, which we will do before we leave office, to be such that the road will be possible throughout the I look forward to seeing me joining one keke with Drogon Farmer and others, and we'll take a ride all the way to Zulu Whiskey. That's what we're talking about. And that process of transformation is on. I don't believe such a good thing is being opposed by anyone. If there are doubts, there are questions, they can answer. But what exactly those concerns are, I will come back to you for. As we keep it, even though we do the thing, even today you're having 2 press conferences. I don't know what they're all right. After the one, we're having one more 3 o'clock. Don't complain about being here because our interest is protected just by being here. If you want to follow my own interest, then it's up to you. But I have an obligation to protect your interest. I mean, somebody raised that. Come here, you ask me a question, what your question want to be clear? I said you want to ask question, and after you refuse to ask me when you careful listening. So I want to answer the very talk about God because you didn't ask me questions. So I was thinking you tell me that. But you know, I don't know what question. So look, you know, sometimes we got to do some things differently in Africa. And for some of us who have the chance to live out of the country, by the way, you all know that the last 6 years I was in the US. System is one of the easier things there. That is a place that out is in hand by public-private partnership or so many private actors. When I'm driving to work in the morning and I'm passing through Douala and Control Junction, the things I see there can pinch my heart. People running behind with 1 or 2 buses that I have been for. Somebody could drive and drive higher. Their legs could slide on a bus and could break their legs. Nobody should suffer like that just to pay their own money. I'm looking for free buses, they don't pay their own money. So one of the things people do all over the place that you encourage private investors to come and invest in your transport and other systems. So the government has a proposal. And that proposal comes from Technology Fund Africa Limited and Marco Polo Africa. Combined proposal. What do they want to do? They want to come here and invest in about 1,200 buses. Environmentally sort of friendly buses. You know what that means? You have the technical people here will think about that. But that's what they want to do. I've seen their project proposal, which is 13 pages. All the routes that they intend to use those buses and how many to be deployed in a route. Everything shut up, listed clearly. Around 1,200 buses. Think about that. Walk around the street, see the way they put funding for buses. And imagine, in addition to the ones you have that people struggling with, additional 1,200 buses are out there. You're going to be funding for cars that will bring their food. There's a proposal. The government is reviewing the proposal. If there's a decision on that, it's an investment package decision, and the whole of government will make that decision. Is the government inclined to investment in transportation? I think it should be yes. Or are they now running and taking Marco Polo? No, Marco Polo only submitted a proposal. When we reach the level where the proposal is being accepted and we're moving into having a formal agreement, you will know. It's a real good thing that people just thinking about investing in different areas in our country. And transport being one of the most challenging areas, I think gave us a chance to review this 13-page proposal that intends to ensure 1,200 public transport buses in Liberia. Hopefully the plan moves in all directions of the country. Let's look at it. And I think, as my personal opinion, and based on what I see every day as an everyday man in the street, I think we give it attention, we do all of the background, we'll see what the feasibilities are and whether it's Marco Polo and the Technology Africa group or it's another group or whatever it is. We've got to make sure we solve the problem of public transport. That's how we're talking about the roads. The roads will not use themselves. Human beings will use them. And what a human being can use could be whether our buses, that taxis, that take care of what they need them. And to have buses on those routes, but cheaper maybe than those taxis, because you can take smaller people. Why have the buses to take many people? It comes to economic viability. Is that something we have to ask me as a daily agenda?
Yeah, Mr. Minister, my name is Strokon Flamma.
Don't call me. That's not your question.
You care to comment on the? You care to comment on the press conference of the opposition CDC that the government of Liberia, through the LBS, denied them usage of the state-run institution, which also is their constitutional right. If you read the Constitution, Article 56 is clear. C is clear about how every citizen, no matter your political party or your religious background, should have access to the state-run institution. But the CDC is surprised that your government, through the LBS, denied them access to the state-run institution.
So, if I will spend my time here as the Minister of Information to be responding to political parties, I will not communicate government program and policies. Because the CDC and any other party for that matter will be things it will not be a core value of our work. But what I could say is that when I hear a group of people complain, it's not for me to respond to them and I respond back to their own. It's for me to inquire as chairman of the board from LBS management as to what happened. So when LBS management briefed me, then if I wanted to say anything about the situation, then I'm speaking on an informed basis. But the person were denied. Then I just come on the platform and say, this is it where they let Lord they want it. No, I didn't do that. All my people who brought me here, they know I'm not here for politics. I'm here to communicate based on the truth. And it's good. It's a good thing that such a complaint is coming from the opposition. I was just listening to Gideon this morning on the very ELBC. And he said the last time you were on ELBC was 2016. And the closer he came to going back there, 2016 was he said was in 2022. When he was invited to appear on the show. You were 5 minutes away from the station. And you received a call that sorry, you can't appear. You may know, people talk to them and say, oh, I saw one job you deny me. You went for other ways to other stations. You know, you are very robust. You are one of the critical voices against the regime, especially in the growth sector. You went on different stations, you thought it did. today, maybe some of the same people who gave him that 5 minutes to turn 4. Now God has an issue. Will we address it if it is an issue? Yes. Because all that kind of problem with freedom of rescue. When I say because the other people did it, horror will do it. If we found the fact and we believe that they were really, really wrongfully prevented from using state radio, the board and the management will talk about that. If the management team clearly say yes, we stop them, and this is the reason why we stop them, we look at the merits of their reason. And if they have a good ground, then that's it. If somebody calls spoon, you on the show, you throw on someone on the show. And as not a person calling somebody man, you let it talk because of freedom of expression. There are a lot of men who want to use your airway and call them out. I know you guys don't say that. So I got to know from the DG what happens. As it stands, no, I don't. So I don't want to respond to something that I'm not fully informed about. I hope that answers it.
Thank you.
So it's a busy day. Like I said, we're coming by at 3 o'clock tonight. My humble people, all of you who are here, please be here. LTA is being reviewed recently. There are government entities where even dealing with other government entities you not they operating in legal legislation. But I see government entities here and we carry them live. They okay there? Yeah. You're busy. You're carrying. You see, that's why this government is just different. Just different. That's the reason why I can stand on this platform and suddenly I don't feel good about what I say. I'm not very sure 6 years ago. If you have a chief of speaking page, they say, I can use this platform to look at some sector of the government where I feel problem is I will copy. And when I go to my where I go sleep. I'm going to go where I am already. That's the society we need. And I think with that one. I want to thank you. And we'll see in an hour's time because 3 o'clock we'll be right back in this course. Some of that idea,